morning, Your Honor. This is Court Interpreter Pedro Davis. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, thank you. Good morning.
Thank you. We have one person on the list, about halfway down the list.
Perfect.
Thank you. I'll stand by.
Good morning, Your Honor. Neil Poston for the state.
Good morning.
You guys ready?
I was so hot, it was sweaty. It was cooler outside, but it was the needs of the breeze. But it was big time. Yeah, we got Parkinson good to the drama. That's the Lord City. But if he's in job, if it's a there, by Your Honor, are you ready for call?
Yes, thank you.
Morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Please state your name.
I am Raziel James Powell.
Mr. Powell, this is the time for your initial appearance. You are here this morning on charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, which is a domestic violence offense. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You also have the right to be represented by an attorney. I am appointing the public defender to represent you, and you do have counsel with you for today's hearing. We're going to talk about your conditions of release. I've reviewed the Thank you. I've reviewed the interim complaint that gives a little bit of information about the charges. I've reviewed information provided by pretrial services about, and then I've received the recommendation from the state that you be held on a bond of $25,000, and if that bond is posted, that you be released to pretrial services. Mr. Poston, would you like to be heard further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you. And defense, a couple of things I would be particularly interested in hearing is whether there's another place for him to go, what a reasonable bond might be from his point of view.
Thank you, Your Honor. We're actually asking that you continue this until the evening session for exactly those reasons. He does have his mother's phone number memorized, so I've instructed him to speak with pretrial services, call his mother, try to verify he has somewhere else he can go other than back to the residence where the victim lives. He is only 17, so I'd ask to give him a little more time to accomplish that.
That makes sense to me. I would like to know what his options are before making the decision, so I am inclined to order continuing this to the evening session. Would the state like to make any objection?
None at all, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, then you are excused for now, Mr. Powell, and the judge who's doing the initial appearances tonight will see you. not supposed to be thinking why this is You can anytime get that. Okay. Well, I didn't.
But I don't think everything has a location just for the.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Being your bedtime. I don't know. I love the trees.
Great. All right. Please state your name.
Harry Pierce.
Ms. Pierce, this is the time for your initial appearance on a warrant out of Sierra Vista for failure to appear on a charge of driving with license suspended.
Yes.
The warrant was issued in the amount of $1,500. And it looks like you are being held here on local Pima County charges as well. So there's a hold on other charges already placed on you. So regardless of what I did on this case, you would remain in custody on those charges. So I'm going to honor the $1,500 bond that was issued on that warrant on this case. And you're going to be seen on this case on March 25th at 8:30 out of Sierra Vista Justice Court. If you did happen to be released, you would need to appear for that court date on your own. If you remain in custody, the jail should make you available for that. And if you failed to appear after being released, then a warrant would issue for your arrest. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. You're excused for today.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning. Please state your name. Ms. Fisher, this is the time for is today a review hearing? It looks like.
Yes.
Review hearing on your out-of-county warrant. This hearing was set to see if you were still being held in Pima County on your local charges or if you had been released to the other county. So what I'm going to do today is set a review hearing in 1 month for the same reason, to see if you are still being held here in Pima County or if you have been released to the other jurisdiction. You understand?
Yeah.
So the next review hearing date is going to be April 18th at 9 a.m. If you're still here, you'll show up for video court just like this. If you have been released, then we'll just end the review hearings there. Thank you. You're excused for today.
Your Honor, this is the jail. I was curious if we can do the Spanish speaker first.
Yes.
Okay. That's
So you did the Spanish version of things.
Pepper's ready, Your Honor.
Thank you.
no.
Good morning. morning. Please state your name.
Francisco Morales.
You know what, interpreter? I could hear you perfectly before, but now you're very quiet.
Well, now, Your Honor.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm not sure the defendant heard you, but could you please state your name, sir?
¿Nos dice su nombre, señor, por favor?
Francisco Morales.
Francisco Morales.
Mr. Morales, you're here for your initial appearance on a couple of different matters. You have a... Let me pull this up.
Se encuentra aquí detenido por algunos asuntos distintos. Espera un momento, por favor.
You have new felony charges of possession of a dangerous drug and possession of drug paraphernalia, as well as misdemeanor charges of resisting arrest and criminal trespass.
Tiene usted acusaciones nuevas de delitos graves de tenencia de droga peligrosa y tenencia de artículos de drogas, parafernales de drogas y también delitos menores por oponerse a la detención de la Agencia del Orden Público y de ingreso ilícito a propiedad ajena.
You have the right to remain silent, and anything you say can and will be used against you. You also have a right to be represented by an attorney on the felony charges, and I am appointing the public defender to represent you, and there's counsel seated with you for today's hearing.
Tiene usted derecho de guardar silencio. Cualquier cosa que diga podrá ser usada en contra suya y será usada en contra suya. Tiene usted derecho a tener abogado presente para el delito mayor. Puede asignar al abogado de oficio del defensor público que le represente, y también tenemos a un representante de esa agencia a su lado el día de hoy.
We're going to talk about your conditions of release. I have reviewed it. Oh, sorry, you can go ahead.
Vamos a hablar también de sus condiciones de libertad provisional. Espere. Thank you, Your Honor.
I have reviewed information from pretrial services. I've reviewed the interim complaint and the statement of probable cause from the misdemeanor, well, from both charges, both sets of charges. And I have reviewed the state's recommendation that you be released to pretrial services.
Ahora, he revisado las condiciones de libertad que se proponen, recomendaciones de las agencias de servicios previos al juicio. He revisado también la carencia inicial y el establecimiento del motivo fundado para los cargos, los dos cargos distintos. También he revisado la recomendación de la Fiscalía que recomienda que sea usted liberado para ser supervisado por la Agencia de Servicios Procesales, Pretrial Services.
You are also eligible, or you may be eligible, for a pretrial diversion program on the felony charges.
También podría calificar usted para tomar parte en un programa de sentencia alternativa para los delitos mayores.
If you were determined to be eligible for that program and were to successfully complete it, it's possible that the state would not go forward on the felony charges.
Ahora, si usted tomara parte, si pudiera participar en este programa y lo hiciera y lo cumpliera con éxito, es posible que la Fiscalía no procediera de la manera normal contra los cargos mayores.
So are you interested in that program?
¿Le interesaría a usted participar en ese programa de sentencia alternativa?
Yes. Sí.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to set the felony charges for a hearing to determine if you are eligible for that program. It will be on March 25th at 9 a.m.
Voy a programar una audiencia para que usted vaya para ver si califica para tal programa. Eso será el 25 de marzo a las 9 de la mañana.
I believe that that's your one and only chance to be assessed for that program. If you fail to appear for that hearing, you'll no longer be eligible.
Ahora, esta podría ser su única oportunidad de tomar parte en este programa de sentencia alternativa. Si no se presentara para esa audiencia el 25 de marzo, si no se presentara, perdería la oportunidad.
And then I'm also going to set your case for a preliminary hearing. Usually that has to be set within 20 days. However, to give time for you to be assessed for the diversion program, I'm asking if you will waive that to 45 days.
Ahora, usualmente pactamos una audiencia preliminar en 20 días después del día de hoy. Pero para darle tiempo para ver si puede usted participar en ese programa de sentencia alternativa, lo podría programar en 45 días si usted acepta esa postergación. ¿Le parece bien esperarse 45 días para esa audiencia en lugar de 20?
You'll want to wait and do your best to try.
Sí.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll set your preliminary hearing for May 2nd at 1:30. Let me just make sure that's correct.
Entonces lo que voy a hacer es pactar esa audiencia preliminar para el 2 de mayo a la 1:30. Permítame verificar esa hora. Espere.
It's possible that hearing will not go forward if the state decides not to proceed, so you'll want to stay in touch with your attorney.
Ahora es posible que esa audiencia no se lleve a cabo, especialmente si la fiscalía decide no proceder en su caso. Así es que es buena idea mantenerse en buen contacto y comunicación con el licenciado que se le designe.
Okay. So your conditions of release are that you are released to pretrial services, that you submit to any monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services, and that you possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs.
Ahora, lo que vamos a hacer es poner en condiciones de libertad. Voy a dejarle salir para que sea supervisado por la Agencia de Servicios Preprocesales, Pretrial Services, y someterse a cualquier nivel de tratamiento monetario que le recomiende por ellos, y de nada de alcohol, droga ilícita.
And then we'll turn to the misdemeanor charges. Those are being charged out of Tucson City Court.
Y los delitos menores se van a procesar en el juzgado municipal de Tucson.
I'm also going to order that you're released on your promise to appear for your court date on those charges.
Puede dejar salir de la cárcel con su palabra de garantía de presentarse para esos cargos cuando se procesen.
Your next court date will be April 18th at 9:30 in the morning.
La próxima audiencia se pacta para el 18 de abril a las 9:30.
And that is for a pretrial hearing, pretrial conference, and that's at Tucson City Court.
Eso será una audiencia preliminar, una conferencia preliminar antes del proceso formal. Eso será en el juzgado municipal de Tucson.
And on these charges, this is also the time for your arraignment.
Y también es el momento indicado para hacerse la lectura de cargos para esos cargos menores.
So I'll enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf, tell you that you are presumed to be innocent.
Por lo pronto se declara su declaración de no culpable entre los cargos con la presunción de inculpabilidad en los cargos.
And I'll let you know that if you fail to appear for your court hearings, a warrant can issue for your arrest. The hearings can also go forward without you, including trial. And if you are convicted and fail to appear for sentencing for at least 90 days, you can lose your right to a direct appeal. Do you understand the consequences of failing to appear?
Ahora, si se presenta para esa audiencia, se emite su detención, orden de detención, el caso puede proceder en su ausencia. Si se hace juicio, se le presume culpable sin estar presente para recibir la sentencia dentro de 90 días, podrá tener el derecho de apelación. Yes.
All right, thank you. Unless you have any questions, you're excused for today.
Es todo por hoy. A menos que tenga preguntas, puede retirarse. So, Your Honor, that was the one Spanish speaker. May the interpreter be excused?
Yes, can we have the jail confirm there's no other Spanish speakers?
Yeah, that's correct, Your Honor.
Thank you. The interpreter is excused with thanks.
Thank you.
Sorry? Oh, yeah, thank you so much. Blanket permission. Never gonna remember the type thing. I'll do my best.
My name's Ty.
Please state your name.
Lucas Herbst.
Mr. Earp, this is the time for your initial appearance on charges of domestic violence, disorderly conduct, and domestic violence criminal trespass. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire an attorney of your choice, and in certain circumstances, an attorney may be appointed on your behalf. We're going to talk about your conditions of release. I've reviewed information provided by pretrial services. The victim indicated that she does want to continue to have contact with you and that you are welcome to return to the home, so I am going to allow that today. If I were to order that you be released on your promise to appear for court, will you appear for your next court date?
Yes.
So I am going to order that you be released on your promise to appear. Your next court date is going to be March 28th at 10:30. That's before Judge Garcia at Pima County Justice Court. If you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. There are additional conditions of release, which are that you do not consume or possess alcohol or illegal drugs and that you commit no acts of domestic violence. Do you understand?
Yes.
Thank you. You're excused for today.
Thank you. Go back around to the universe. Or all the way up. Yes, go on.
Good morning. Please state your name.
Daniel Kaverick.
Mr. Kaverick, you are here for your initial appearance on new misdemeanor charges of criminal damage, disorderly conduct, criminal damage, and disorderly conduct. There's 2 charges of each. Those are all domestic violence offenses and obstructing a highway or public thoroughfare. You are also here on a failure to appear from Green Valley Justice Court from June of 2020. You have the right to remain silent on all of these charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire an attorney of your choice. In certain circumstances, an attorney may be appointed to represent you. And starting with, so we're going to talk about your conditions of release. I'm going to start with let me just double check that this is. Great, we're going to start with the Green Valley failure to appear charge. And on that case, I am going to order that you be held on a bond of $250 cash or secured. Additional conditions of release are that you possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, that you commit no acts of domestic violence, that you have no contact with the alleged victims, do not return to the incident location. I am going to appoint an attorney to represent you since you're being held. That's going to be Stan Fitzgerald. His phone number will be on the documents you receive. You are additionally ordered to abide by the previously set conditions of release in this case and not to go to the alleged victim's residence. Your next court date is going to be March 20th, so that's 2 days from now at 8:30 a.m. for a case management conference. Then turning to the Sarita charges, which are the new misdemeanor charges. I am going to order a separate bond of $250 cash or secured, that you do not possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, that you commit no acts of domestic violence, have no contact with the alleged victim, do not go to the incident location. And I'm also going to appoint Stan Fitzgerald to represent you in this case as he works in both jurisdictions. Your next court date for the Sarita charges will be March 25th at 3 p.m. If you remain in custody, the jail will make you available for these hearings. If you are released and post your bond, then you will be responsible for appearing at your court hearings. And if you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes, Judge. Can I say something about the previous, the one in GV, the arrest warrant? That was a hit arrest, and there was no 911 call by my dad. It was my brother-in-law ordered a hit arrest on me, which led to me being here where I am right now. So there was no 911 call. There wasn't a no contact order. It was just a police report, love story that my fag obsessed brother-in-law was writing to me to, because I was reversing the empowerment on me on the VA out in Florida, which is what led to me being here right now. So this has been never ending, like guilt suppression and domestic terrorism. I have a disability protection. I know you're trying to put a bond on me, but I don't think that's necessary. I shouldn't even be arrested because this is reverse criminalization. And there's a terrorism feed going on right now with me and my empowerment, and they're nearing me in the highway. I have a disability protection, and my mother is a hostage in the house where my dad is, and he will not let her go. So that's what all this stems from. It's the same thing. It's been going on for 5 years now.
Sir, the information before me is that you're here because you broke 3 exterior windows to your parents' house. You came there without your parents' permission while they were in their bedroom at peace and were seen by a big neighbor using a baseball bat to break a bedroom window, garage window, and front living room window. If you believe your mother is at risk, please report that to the authorities, the law enforcement. Otherwise, if you understand the consequences of failing to appear for court and what your release conditions are, you'll be excused for today.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Are you?
Good morning. Please state your name.
Matichak, Your Honor.
Mr. Matichak, you are here for your initial appearance. You are here on charges of disorderly conduct, which are domestic violence charges. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire an attorney of your choice, and in certain circumstances, an attorney may be appointed to represent you. These charges are out of Green Valley Justice Court. We're going to talk about your conditions of release today, and I have reviewed information provided by pretrial services. Sir, if I were to order that you be released on your promise to appear at future court dates and that you have no contact with the alleged victims and do not return to the incident location, would you be able to do that?
Of course, Your Honor, yes.
I will order that you be released on your promise to appear at your next court date. That is only 2 days from now. Your court date is going to be March 20th at 8:30 at Green Valley Justice Court. Are you going to be?
Your Honor, yeah, Your Honor, is that actually in Green Valley then?
Excuse me?
Is it actually out in Green Valley, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be able to get there.
Great. So I am releasing you on your promise to appear. You are required to appear at that court date. If you do not appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. The additional conditions are that you possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, that you commit no acts of domestic violence, have no contact with the alleged victim, do not return to the incident location, and establish an alternate address. Were you living there?
Yeah. I have another address I can go to my dad's.
Do you need permission to return one time with a police escort to pick up your belongings?
Yes, probably, yes, Your Honor.
So I will put that in my order. What you'll do is you'll take my order to the closest law enforcement agency and they will escort you there one time to pick up your belongings.
Okay. Your Honor, I have a question, Your Honor. So I'm paying like half the mortgage there. Like we kind of like, I'm not actually on the mortgage, but like we kind of co-bought the house. And I'm not sure how does that work? Do I have to get this resolved before I can go back there? Or just you have to get a court's permission for me to go back there? Or
Yes. The next judge you see, or a judge in this case, would have to give you permission to go back there other than the one time to pick up your belongings. So it's possible that that will change. You can, talk to an attorney about a motion to modify conditions of release. But at this time, no contact at all with the victim and do not return to the incident location, okay?
Yep.
All right. And appear at your court date on March 20th at 8:30. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you.
You're excused.
Thank you. Say good or mouse. Salon.
Good morning. Please state your name.
Michael Joseph Swan.
Mr. Swan, you are here for your initial appearance on a couple of different matters. You have a warrant out of a justice court in Phoenix, Country Meadows Justice Court, for shoplifting, and you have Tucson City Court warrants for failure to appear on charges of consuming liquor in public, shoplifting, and 2 different charges of criminal trespass. You have the right to remain silent on all of these cases. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire an attorney of your choice, and in certain circumstances, an attorney may be appointed for you. We're going to talk about your conditions of release. I'm going to start with the Tucson City cases. Based on the significant length of time that those cases have been going on, I am going to hold you on a bond. The bond is going to be $250 in that case. Additional conditions that can be cash or secured. Additional conditions are that you possess and consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, that you have no contact of any kind with the victims of the theft or criminal trespass, that you not return to the incident location, and that you abide by any previously ordered conditions of release. I am appointing the City of Tucson Public Defender to represent you in these cases. Court date will be March 28th at 1:45. That's for a video review. If you remain in custody, the jail will make you available. Should you post bond and be released, then your next court date will be a pretrial conference on April 18th at 9 a.m. Either way, those are in Tucson City Court before Judge Mayhew. You're required to appear, and if you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And then on the out-of-county warrants, I'm going to maintain the bond that they issued with the warrant for $121. That will also be cash or secured. If you do post your bonds and get released, your court date for that case will be March 31st at 9 a.m. at Country Meadows Justice Court. And if you fail to appear for that hearing, a warrant can issue for your arrest unless you're still being held here on your local charges. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, you are excused for today. Did I basically get that right? Oh, okay. Well, so even though
Firmed up the seat for me. That feels good.
Good morning. Please state your name.
William Alfred Humphreys.
Alfred Humphreys. (101) Great, Mr. Humphreys, you are here on for your first appearance on charges of criminal trespass, which are domestic violence charges out of Tucson City Court.
Okay.
Let me just take a quick look. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire an attorney of your choice. In certain circumstances, an attorney may be appointed to represent you. Sir, if I were to order for your conditions of release, that you be released on your promise to appear and that you have no contact with your brother, David Humphreys, and not return to his residence or the incident location, would you be able to appear at your court date and abide by those conditions?
Most definitely. Yes.
Thank you. So I will order that you are released on your promise to appear at your next court date. Your next court date is going to be April 21st. That's at 9 a.m. for a pretrial conference. That will be before Judge Hale at Tucson City Court. I'm also going to let you know, because today is your arraignment on these charges as well, that I'm entering a plea of not guilty on your behalf. You are presumed to be innocent, and if you fail to appear for your future hearings, a warrant can issue for your arrest. The hearings can also go forward in your absence. That includes trial. And if you are convicted and then fail to appear for sentencing for at least 90 days, you can lose your right to a direct appeal. Do you understand the consequences of failing to appear?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so the additional conditions are that you possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, have no contact with your brother, do not return to his residence or the incident location. And then your next court date is April 21st at 9 a.m. Any questions?
Yeah, my mother lived next door to my brother, and I would like to see my mother if possible, but I don't want to, make anybody uncomfortable.
My order is just that you don't have any contact with him and that you don't go onto his property. So
okay.
If you're visiting your mother, don't make any signs or signals at your brother, okay?
I understand.
All right, thank you. You're excused.
Stand up.
Good morning. Please state your name.
Jordan Barnett.
Mr. Barnett, this is the time for, actually, let me double check here. This is his first time though, right? For your initial appearance on a warrant out of Pinal County. That warrant is for possession of dangerous drugs and possession of drug paraphernalia. And the warrant was issued in the amount of $5,000. Do you also have local charges, sir? Something happening in Pima County without telling me what it is?
Yes.
Just go maybe things.
So what I'm going to do today then is I'm going to set a review hearing for April 18th at 9 a.m. That will be to see if you are still here in Pima County dealing with your local charges, or if you have been released to Pinal County. If you're still here, then we'll set another review hearing, and if you are released to Pinal County, then we will close out the review hearings. Do you have any questions?
Are they? What are they doing with this Pinal County stuff right here?
I don't know. I just know they issued a warrant for you. That's all I know. Okay?
Is it squashing the warrant?
Well, it's been served, so it doesn't need to be quashed. It's been served, and I am just going to maintain the $5,000 bond on that warrant.
Okay.
All right? If you happen to be released on your local charges and post that bond, then you would be ordered to make arrangements to appear in Pinal County Superior Court. Okay?
Good.
All right, thank you. You're excused.
Yeah. We don't have the new felony in front of us.
I think, yeah, never mind. Williams.
So,
Good morning. Please state your name.
First, Rossi Williams.
Mr. Ferrazzi Williams, this is the time for your initial appearance on a couple of different matters. It looks like you have new felony charges of possession of a narcotic drug and possession of drug paraphernalia. And then you also had some warrants out of Tucson City Court for failing to appear on cases involving drug paraphernalia. You have the right to remain silent on all of these charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire an attorney of your choice. And on the felony charges, I am going to appoint the public defender to represent you. We're going to talk about your conditions of release, and I have reviewed some information in preparing for that. I've reviewed the interim complaint on the felony charges, which contains some information about the charges. I've reviewed information provided by pretrial services about you, and I have reviewed the state's recommendation, which is that you be released to pretrial services on these charges. And that's because you are eligible for a pre-indictment diversion program that we refer to as STEPS. That program involves treatment services. And if you were to be accepted to that program and successfully completed, it's possible that the state would not go forward with these felony drug charges. Are you interested in that program?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to set your case for a hearing to determine your eligibility for that program on March 25th at 9 a.m. At that hearing, you'll have the chance to speak with an attorney more about the program, to speak with service providers, and meet with pretrial services. And then, let's see. All right. And then you will have a preliminary hearing set. Usually the state is required to have the preliminary hearing within 20 days to allow for time to determine your eligibility for the diversion program. Would you be willing to waive that to 45 days?
No.
I think you said yes, but I just want to make sure.
Yes.
So your preliminary hearing will be May 2nd at 1:30. It's possible that hearing will not go forward if the state decides not to proceed in those charges at this time because you've joined the diversion program. So you'll want to keep in touch with your attorney to make sure you know when your court dates are. You'll be released to pretrial services, and you'll be required to submit to any monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services, no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, and abide by any previously set conditions of release. I think that's just in the other case, actually. So that will be your new felony charges, and then turning to the Tucson City charges. There are 3 counts of possession of drug paraphernalia that were in, I think they were all in warrant status, and then 1 criminal trespass and 1 criminal damage. Sir, if I ordered that you be released on your promise to appear for your next court date in these cases, will you appear at this juncture?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so your next court date on your Tucson City Court charges is going to be April 21st at 2 p.m. That's before Judge Verena at Tucson City Court. Your additional conditions of release are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, to have no contact of any kind with the alleged victims in the criminal trespass and criminal damage, and not return to their residence or the incident location. You understand?
Yes.
Thank you. You're excused for today.
Mom.
Good morning. Please state your name.
Skylar Faringa.
Ms. Faringa, this is the time for your initial appearance. You are here on new charges of possession of narcotic drug, possession of a dangerous drug, and possession of drug paraphernalia. And then we also have an older set of the same charges from October of 2024, which were on a warrant status with a warrant issued in the amount of $500.
Your Honor, just to be certain, we have 3 for this individual, correct?
3 charges for each date, each offense date. Is that what you mean?
I have 3 different police report numbers, which is why the state submitted 3.
I only have 2.
I see the case ending in, it's case CR 2025-0429. Police report ending in 014. Date of arrest 215, and then I have date of arrest 315 for P2530, 2503 170231.
I don't think we have the February charges. Yeah, we have the October and the March. We do not have the February in front of us today.
Okay.
All right. I don't remember where I left off, so I'm going to say you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney, and I am appointing the legal defender's office to represent you, and there is an attorney seated with you for purposes of today's hearing, at which time we're going to talk about your conditions of release on these October charges and these new March charges. So I will put away the February recommendation. And then I have reviewed information provided about you by pretrial services. I reviewed the interim complaint on the new charges. And I reviewed the state's recommendation. And so the state is recommending that on the October charges, I simply keep the $500 warrant amount in place. And then that on the new charges, I order a bond of $3,500. And that in either case, if you're released to the custody of pretrial services. Would the state like to be heard further?
No, Your Honor.
Would the defense like to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor. We're asking that you release her to pretrial services. It sounds like she was checking in with pretrial services so much so that they reduced her obligation to only once per week. This is an old case. The 2025-0429 is an old case that was refiled, and she was never rearrested on it. So there's no indication she had any knowledge of the hearing. We understand she was picked up with more drugs. However, she's a drug user, and I don't think that should prohibit her from getting another chance on pretrial services, given that this old offense was not within her purview of information.
And then on the new charges, would she be eligible for steps, or is that a one-time only situation?
It looks like she was removed from steps in the past.
So that means she's...
I don't know that that's what that means, Judge. I think you can order the hearing, and they can decide at the hearing.
Okay, go ahead.
So the information is that she was unsuccessfully terminated on January 7th. So I just wanted to know if that generally impacts eligibility.
No, I believe
it usually prohibits, Your Honor.
Okay. So I will go ahead and step the hearing since there's a disagreement and it can be decided then. I am going to... Which one do I have up here? I am going to order a $250 bond in the new case and uphold the $500 warrant amount in the older case. If you are able to post the bond, you'll be released to pretrial services. The additional orders are that you possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, and submit to any monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. Your steps hearing will be on March 25th at 9 a.m. And then your preliminary hearing will be on March 28th at 1:30 p.m. If you were to post bond and then fail to appear for future court dates, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And then let me pull up the older. And then in the older charge, your next court date is going to be March 25th at 1:30. And then otherwise the conditions of release will remain the same. That'll be for an arraignment. Do you understand the conditions of release and the consequences of failing to appear?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You're excused for today.
Basic. So,
So, thank you.
Good morning. Please state your name.
Bobby Hastings.
This is the time for your initial appearance on new felony charges of possession of a narcotic drug, possession of a weapon during a drug offense, and possession of a dangerous drug, as well as a misdemeanor charge of possession of a prescription-only drug. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. You can hire the attorney of your choice, but I am appointing the public defender's office to represent you, and you have counsel seated next to you for the purposes of today's hearing. We're going to talk about your conditions of release. And in preparing for that, I reviewed information provided by pretrial services. And I have reviewed the interim complaint describing the circumstances of the charges. And then I have also reviewed the state's recommendation, and the state is recommending that you be held on a bond of $5,000. And then if you post that bond, that you be released to pretrial services. Would the state like to be heard further?
Nothing further.
Defense?
Your Honor, we'd be asking that you release her to pretrial services. This is considered a non-violent offense, and she is considered a level 2 supervision level. She doesn't have an active NBCA flag. She's only a 3 on the scales. She does have priors, but none of them are violent, similar to this offense. She also has verified housing and support with her dad to help her ensure she gets to court and follows her release conditions. So for all those reasons, we do believe pretrial services is appropriate.
And is there a bond amount she feels she could post?
Your Honor, she works as a caregiver, so she works minimum wage, so she doesn't feel there's a bond that she can meet at this point.
So I am going to order a bond of $500 that will be cash or secured. And then if you are able to post the bond and be released, you'll be released to pretrial services. I'm ordering that you possess no firearms or weapons. If there are any firearms in your possession, that you surrender them to law enforcement, that you submit to monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. And your next court date is going to be March 28th at 1:30 for a preliminary hearing. If you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes.
Thank you.
So
You're
much.
excused.
Excuse me. You're good. Hello.
Good morning. Please state your name.
Nicholas Lopez.
Mr. Lopez, this is the time for your initial appearance. You are here this morning on new felony charges of possession of a dangerous drug and possession of drug paraphernalia. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. I am appointing the legal defender's office to represent you this morning. And you do have counsel seated next to you for the purpose of today's hearing. We're going to talk about your conditions of release. It looks like you are eligible for the, you may be eligible for the STEPS diversion program. This is a pre-indictment diversion program. If you were to be accepted and then successfully complete the program, it's possible that the state would not go forward with these felony charges. Are you interested in that program?
Yes.
Great. So I'll set your case for a hearing on March 25th to determine if you are eligible for the diversion program. At that hearing, you'll have a chance to speak with an attorney further about the program, to meet with service providers and pretrial services. We also need to set your case for a preliminary hearing. And I'll come back to that in just a moment. So the state has recommended that you be released to pretrial services. And that is what I am inclined to do. Does anyone need to be heard further?
Nothing further.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. So I am going to order that you be released to pretrial services. You will be required to submit to monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. You'll be ordered to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons. And then for the preliminary hearing, usually we're required to set that hearing within 20 days in order to facilitate your evaluation and potential joining of the diversion program. Would you be willing to waive that to 45 days?
Yes.
All right, so your preliminary hearing will be May 2nd at 1:30. It's possible that hearing will not go forward, so stay in touch with your attorney to make sure you know when your court dates are. If you fail to appear for any future court dates, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, thank you. You're excused for today.
Thank you.
Hello.
Please state your name.
Riverdale Morgan.
Mr. Morgan, this is the time for your initial appearance. You are here on charges of trafficking in stolen property, specifically a firearm. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. I am appointing the Legal Defender's Office to represent you, and you have counsel seated next to you for the purposes of our hearing this morning. We're going to talk about your conditions of release, and to prepare for that, I have reviewed information provided in the interim complaint. I have also reviewed information provided about you by pretrial services. And I reviewed the state's recommendation, which is that you be held on a bond of $3,500, and if you post that bond, that you be released to pretrial services. Would the state like to be heard further?
No, Your Honor.
And defense?
Your Honor, we'd be asking that you release him to pretrial services. This is considered a nonviolent offense. He doesn't have an active NVCA flag. He doesn't have any violent priors. In fact, his last prior is from 2014, over 10 years ago. He claims to have housing and working part-time. Reading the interim complaint, it sounds like maybe it's a dispute over what actually happened, but it doesn't appear that the victim's in any danger. Apparently, they still communicate about this incident. So it sounds potentially like a miscommunication and nothing violent that him being in the community would cause any harm to the victim. So for all those reasons, Your Honor, we're asking you give him a chance on pretrial services.
One concern I have is that the most recent charge is for escape.
I understand that, Your Honor, but that was over 10 years ago. And I don't think it's fair to keep holding decisions he made so long ago against him, even if it is that type of charge.
So I am going to order a bond of $500 that'll be cash or secure. The additional conditions of release are that you possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, that if you do post bond and are released, you submit to monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services, possess no firearms or weapons, have no contact with the alleged victim. And your next court date is going to be March 28th. That's at 1:30 for a preliminary hearing. You'll want to keep in touch with your attorney to make sure you know what your court dates are, as that court date could change. If you fail to appear for future court dates, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand. I just don't have any way to post on. I just lost my parents, so I don't know how.
I'm very it sounds like you're telling me that you recently lost your parents, and I am very sorry for your loss.
I just lost my parents like 3 days ago, but I don't have a way of like posting on. That's I'm gonna miss the funeral and everything. I understand.
I would like that you speak further with your attorney about that. Do you have any other questions, sir?
I can answer them, Your Honor.
Thank you. You're excused for today.
Or maybe.
Oh, okay.
Good morning. Please state your name.
Jonathan Vermelli.
Mr. Vermelli, this is the time for your initial appearance. It looks like we have a couple of new felony charges of possession of a dangerous drug and possession of drug paraphernalia. And then we have some additional felony charges out of Pima County Superior Court for the same things, possession of a dangerous drug and possession of a narcotic drug and possession of drug paraphernalia. And then there are a number of charges out of Tucson City Court over the past couple of years that were warrants were issued for your failure to appear. And those include criminal trespass, possession of drug paraphernalia, assault, possession of drug paraphernalia, and reckless burning. You have the right to remain silent on all of these charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. And on the new felony charges, I am going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you. And you have counsel seated next to you for the purposes of today's hearing on the felony charges from March and October. And so we're going to talk about your conditions of release. We'll start with the felony charges, and then we will move to the Tucson City Court misdemeanor charges. I've reviewed information provided by pretrial services. Which includes a decent amount of information, but also that you may be eligible for a diversion program on the new felony drug charges. I have also reviewed the interim complaint on the new charges, and I reviewed the state's recommendation. So let's see. It looks like on sorry, Mr. Poston, I again have three
For now, the show just one
recommendations, and I
Yes,
think I have two sets of charges.
I saw 3 in the system. Police report ending in 019, police report ending in 4942, and then the other case as well, the most recent. What I am seeing here, Your Honor, is there's a warrant in the case ending in there's a warrant in the case ending CR 2024 4942. There is the new case, date of offense 3/7, theft of means, amongst other charges, as well as unlawful flight. That was date of incident 3/7, and now we have 3/17 with the possession charges. So honestly,
Just for clarification, I think the 3/7 is not in front of me today, but where'd it go? The other two are, but not the March 7th.
no, in that case, Your Honor, what we have is the state will make the recommendation for a $5,000 bond. He has an extensive history of failure to appear in the justice court, and therefore the state has dire concerns about his willingness to actually show up. We have an assault of history. We have heard charges in the past, and overall, looking again at the person's history, drug sales, burglary, $5,000.
And my understanding was that you had recommended a bond amount on the March 7th that isn't in front of us on the older one, and then that you had requested no bond on the newest case.
Well, at this point, Your Honor, the state would be fine with $2,500 on the two cases that are in front of the court each.
Okay. Thank you so much. And you're arguing for consecutive.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
Arguing for concurrent is quite difficult because we have often issues of different case postures, which make it very difficult.
Yeah. Right. I just wanted to make the recommendations clear so that the defense can address them. Thank you. You may go forward, defense.
Sure.
Thank you, Your Honor. We'd be asking for no more than a $500 bond on each of these incidents. These are personal possession drug offenses that we're talking about. I understand the state's concern with this failure to appear history, which is why we're proposing the bond. However, he does not have any verified employment. These are drug offenses. He's using drugs, Your Honor, so he's not going to be able to make anywhere near a $2,500 bond, much less $5,000 when added together. And so for that reason, we believe $500 on each case is appropriate given the charges and his financial situation.
I'm going to order a bond of $750 in each case. That'll be cash or secured. No alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. Your next court date for the new charges is going to be March 25th at 1:30 for, March 25th at 9 a.m. for the steps hearing to determine if you are eligible for the diversion program. And then you'll have an arraignment that afternoon at 1:30. That's actually incorrect. So that's for the older charges. You'll have the arraignment on March 25th at 1:30. And then for the new charges, you'll have the steps hearing on March 25th at 9 a.m. and then a preliminary hearing on March 28th at 1:30. And then we'll turn to your city court cases. There are 4 different cases over the last 2 years that were all in failure to appear status. So I am going to order a bond of $500 on those cases. That will also be cash or secured. You're ordered, if you do possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, to have no contact of any kind with the alleged and disorderly conduct cases, not return to the incident location, abide by any previously ordered conditions of release, and the City of Tucson Public Defender will be appointed to represent you in each of those cases. If you were to fail to appear after being released for that hearing, a warrant could also issue for your arrest. Do you understand? Thank you. You are excused for today.
Judge, what was the hearing date?
March 28th, is that right? March 28th at 1:45.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Hello.
Huh?
Your name.
We ran. The warrant, I believe, had a bond of $2,500. I got that information from somewhere, but I'm not seeing it now. Let me just. for Delta, so she's able to fly there and take care of it almost immediately as she flies for free. So we're asking that you give her a chance to be released and to go take care of this on her own.
that he so I will remove that from these conditions of release for today's purposes. Your next court date is going to be March 28th. That's at 1:30. That is for a preliminary hearing. Is the matter, there may be a different court date in the probation matter. It's possible that hearing date would change, so you should stay in touch with your attorney to make sure you are aware of all of your court dates. If you are released and fail to appear for court on warrant, can issue your arrest. Do you understand? Thank you. Your case. One new felony charge of criminal damage and two misdemeanor charges, one for driving under the influence and one for open container in your vehicle. You have the right to remain silent in any state can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. In the felony matter, I am appointing the public defender to represent you. And we're going to talk about your conditions of release. So in preparing for that, I have reviewed information provided by pre-trial services. I have also reviewed the interim complaint and reviewed the state's recommendation. The state is recommending that you be held on bond of $3,500 and that if you are released, you be released to pre-trial services. Would the state like to be heard any further?
Single vehicle, what looks like a DUI, and there was an accident, and the defendant just had luck such that he only caused damage to his son, possibly the man. I didn't estimate, Your Honor, this person is a risk to the community. Nothing of the
Judge, luckily a bond is necessary in this case. Stockhold has absolutely no felony or prior or misdemeanor prior, so he's never been in trouble before. He's a one of his sales. He doesn't have an active Wendy C flag. This is considered misdemeanor, Your Honor. The criminal damage is only rising to a felony because of the amount. So I understand the state's concerns. The court has also must consider how the legislature decided to charge these types of crimes. They did not consider it felony level conduct when it is the first offense. He has verified housing and support with his mother. He's employed. He's only 24 years old, Your Honor. There's no indication that he won't show up for court. And given that he has no priors nor active flags, it is only a one on the most likely to commit another offense. We don't believe he's continual harm to the community and pre-trial services is.
Thank you. Mr. Peralta, I do have a couple of questions for you. One, considering whether to release you to pre-trial services or hold you on bond, likely you will not be allowed to drive. Is that condition you'll be able to provide? And going to be for a preliminary hearing. That court date could change, so stay in touch with your attorney. If you fail to appear for that court date, a warrant can be issued for your arrest, and it's unlikely that you would be released to pretrial services if you fail to appear. Do you understand? Right. Your excuse for today. On charges of possession of a weapon by a prohibited person, possession of a weapon in a drug offense, possession of dangerous drugs, and possession of drug. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have a right to be represented by an attorney. And I am appointing the public defender office to represent you in this case. We're going to talk about your conditions of release, and to prepare for that, I have reviewed the interim complaint detailing the circumstances around the allegations. I've also reviewed information provided by pretrial services. I reviewed the recommendation from PST, which is that you be held on a bond of $5,000, and that if you close the bond, you be released to pretrial services with state to your sorry, and with like to your
Asking that you release Mr. Williams to pretrial services. He's always scored a level 2 on the pretrial matrix. He doesn't have an active VCA, like this is considered a nonviolent offense. He doesn't have any violent priors, and in fact, his last one is from 2020. He got there by housing employment and with his mom. If the court is inclined for a bond, although I don't believe it's necessary, last time in the 2020 case, he didn't have a $1,000 bond that he wasn't able to post. So we asked the court to take that into consideration.
right. So I am going to order a $1,500 bond that'll be cash or secured. If you do post that bond, you'll be released to pretrial services. You're ordered to submit to any monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. You may possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs. You may not possess any firearms or weapons. Or if there are any firearms in your possession at any point in time, you must surrender them to local law enforcement. Your next court date is going to be March 28th. That is at 1:30 in the afternoon for a preliminary hearing. And it's possible that that court date will change, so you'll want to keep in touch with your attorney. If you remain in custody, the jail will make you available for the hearing. If you post bond and are released, then you will be responsible to appear at the hearing. And if you fail to appear, I'll arrest you for your arrest. Do you understand? Thank you. You're excused.
Hello.
Good morning. Please state your name.
I'm ready to question here.
Mr. Yepes, this is the time for your initial appearance. You are here on charges of possession of a narcotic drug, possession of drug paraphernalia, and possessing or promoting contraband. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. It looks like you also have a probation violation. So regardless, or a probation hold, sorry. And so regardless of what I do in this case, you would remain in custody of that case until that is resolved. We are going to talk about your, sorry, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney, and I am appointing the legal defender's office to represent you. You do have counsel seated next to you for the purposes of today's hearing. We're going to talk about your conditions of release. In preparation for that, I have reviewed the interim complaint describing the circumstances around the charges. I have reviewed information provided by pretrial services. And I have also reviewed the state's recommendation, which is that you be held on a bond of $5,000, and if you post that bond, that you be released to pretrial services. Would the state like to be heard further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Defense.
Your Honor, I don't believe a $5,000 bond is necessary in this case. As you already noted, he has a probation hold. This is also personal possession drugs. The contraband that he's accused of taking in was found in his back pocket of his pants. So I don't think this is anything crazy warranting such a high bond. So we'd be asking for no more than $1,000.
At this point in time, I'm going to order a $2,000 cash or secured bond. If that bond is posted and the other matter is resolved, you would be released to pretrial services. You would be required to submit to monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. You would not be allowed to possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, and no firearms or weapons. Your next court date will be March 28th. That is at 1:30. And that's for a preliminary hearing. It's possible that court date will change. So I do recommend that you stay in touch with your attorney so that you are aware of your court dates. If you remain in custody, the jail will make you available for your court dates. And if you are released, it will be your responsibility to appear. If you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
So I'm being out on bond on this for $2,000, even if I get out on my probation hold, I still got a bond.
Do you have any other questions, sir?
No.
All right, thank you. You're excused for today. That's all I have, everybody.
All right, guys, I know you guys been wondering what's going on with the audio. The truth of the matter is that I'm out and about, so that's why my audio hasn't been the greatest, because I'm not at home. Anyhow, we'll be getting back to the regularly scheduled stream audio and streams tomorrow. I'm gonna do one more court for the day, which is gonna be in about 4 minutes. I'm gonna cut the stream and I'm gonna start up another one. All right. I'm Collect Call James. You are watching. You have a Collect Call From, and with that, I'm out. A rato.